This is all about bone structure. So we're going to be looking at the different attributes or the different structures that make up a single bone and make up the different types of bones as well. Your essential question for today is, how do compact and spongy bone differ structurally? You can see an example of some spongy bone and compact bone here. So how are they different? Again, the title of these notes is Bone Structure. All right, we can see here long bones and some of the different structures associated with those. Here is a picture of a long bone that is labeled, and we are going to be doing a little coloring activity that's associated with this so that we can practice saying these words and looking at these words and putting them in the appropriate place as they would be found on the human skeleton. The epiphysis is located at proximal and distal ends of long bones, and we can see here there's a distal epiphysis here and the proximal epiphysis, and these are the site of hemopoiesis, which is blood cell formation. So inside here, this would be where blood cells are being formed in the marrow. The diaphysis goes between the epiphyses or epiphysi, however you say that. And this is the shaft of the bone, and inside that it is hollow to make room for the blood vessels and all the other stuff that we're going to talk about here. Next we have the articular cartilage. Articular cartilage is found at the ends of the bones, you can see, and articular meaning a joint. Have you ever heard of arthritis? Articular, that would be where this bone meets in with other bones. Okay, that's articular cartilage, and it provides smooth for lubrication at joints. So the bones will slide past each other. Somebody who has to have oftentimes arthroscopic surgery has to have that cartilage trimmed back. Next we see spongy bone. Spongy bone found up here in this proximal end of this long bone right here. Spongy bone is also called the trabecular, and it's where your red and yellow bone marrow is found. Compact bone is the real hard cortical bone. It provides structure, framework, and it's primarily composed of calcium and phosphate. This is where, like it says, that you drink milk to make your bones strong. It's true, because the mineral calcium is found in there, and the ion phosphate make up that really, really strong framework of your compact bone. Continued on here with the long bone, we have the medullary cavity. The medullary cavity, you can see, is running along the center of the diaphysis. It's where red marrow is being stored, and we can see here throughout the course of a human life, infants have all red marrow, and also in the medullary cavity you'll find yellow marrow, and in adults half of that marrow is red and the other half is yellow. On to the different types of marrow. Red bone marrow is where your blood cells are made, and it's mainly found in your flat bones. All right. And your yellow bone marrow, as we see up here, as we grow and we develop, adults have half of their bone marrow is yellow, and this is fat tissue. This is adipose tissue where energy can be stored inside of the bones. The nutrient foramen. The nutrient foramen runs, we don't see a picture of it here, but it's where a nutrient and oxygen supply line runs into compact bone. So this would be an example here. There's a foramen here where these blood vessels come in to the bone, and it's an opening for that. And the endosteum is the inner lining next to bone marrow, and the periosteum is the outer lining of the bone. You remember when we learned about the different membranes that line organs. The internal one was the endo type of organ, or the endomembrane and the perimembrane, like we learned with the heart, the endocardium and the pericardium. Here, since we're dealing with bones, we have the endosteum and the perosteum. Okay, the endosteum is found inside, lining that medullary cavity, and the perosteum is this outer lining of the bone itself. Bone tissue itself is made up of several different cells that have specialized for different jobs. The first type of cell that where all the other ones come from is called the osteoprogenitor cell. These are the stem cells that haven't specialized quite yet. These cells are loosely organized and they undergo a change to become an osteoblast. Okay, and the next type of cell is the osteoblast. An osteoblast, it forms the bone matrix. So the job of the osteoblast is to secrete collagen and mineral salts to make up that bone matrix, to make it what it is. It's bone tissue. An osteocyte is a mature bone cell that maintains bone tissue. And you can see it would be found here in this portion. And an osteoclast is an immune cell that destroys bone for growth, development, and repair of bone. Okay, so these types of cells are responsible for breaking down that matrix and repairing any damage that's occurring in the bone itself. All right, here's our comparison between compact bone and spongy bone. Compact bone is also called cortical bone. In compact bone, we see lacunae, which are bony chambers that store the osteocytes. The Haversian canals, or the osteons, which is a central canal that carries blood vessels and nerves to bone. We see also Volkmann's canals, which connect Haversian canals and support the nutrient system to internal compact bone, also called the canaliculi. It's hard to say, canaliculi. And the nutrient foramen, which provides nutrient supply from the body to the bone. It's found in the medullary cavity. All right, so these are the different features that we would see in compact bone. In spongy bone, also called the trabecular, there are no true osteons. All right, there is a structure called the lamellae. It's arranged in a lattice known as the trabeculae. That's why spongy bone has that name. And in the spongy bone, it's filled with red bone marrow. All right. All right, so with this information, go back and answer that essential question. And we'll take a look at this a little bit more as we study those different portions of the long bone.